Heartwarming encounter. Struggling nurse discovers amazing first date with patient's generous dad. Emily had always worn her heart on her sleeve. Every night, she poured herself into her work as a nurse in the bustling suburb-s hospital, where lives hung in the balance. She responded to the alarms, soothed the frightened, and championed the heavy-hearted through the chaos of illness. But beneath her professional exterior lay an ache that surfaced during quiet moments, a longing to find love, to escape the tireless grind of bills and responsibilities. That day, as she entered Lucas's room, the air shifted. The boy had a smile that lit the dingy hospital space. With his tousled hair and bright eyes, he radiated pure joy, a light in the dark corners of the medical world. He was fighting a rare condition, yet he smiled like he held the sun in his pocket. Emily found herself laughing at his silly jokes, pretending they were pirates in search of treasure. With each chuckle, she felt the weight on her heart begin to lift. And then came Jack. When he walked in, her breath caught. He was built like a sturdy oak, with sweat-stained jeans and hands rough from years of wrenching motors. The vulnerability in his eyes told stories of battles fought and losses endured. Their initial conversation was stilted, their laughter forced, yet there was an undeniable spark that electrified the room. The tension pulsed like a live wire. Amidst the hardships, they shared fleeting glances. Emily's heart raced as they exchanged awkward, knowing smiles. She could sense the burdens they both carried, the loss for him, the daily struggle for her. But there, in that moment, something shifted. Just as she felt herself leaning into the soft curve of hope, life took another turn. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as blossoms began to unfurl in her heart, tragedy struck. Her mother's health wavered dangerously. The hospital bills piled up, suffocating her with worry. Emily struggled to juggle the weight of her family's burdens and the thrum of rising feelings for Jack. Trying to balance it all was like standing on a tightrope. One misstep could send her spiraling. Then came their first date. She had hoped for laughter, but the moment was thick with miscommunication. The dinner felt clumsy, each word too heavy to carry, a misunderstanding hanging in the air like a thick fog. Emily misread Jack's gestures, thinking him presumptuous. Everything crumbled. The connection between them fractured, leaving Emily emotionally raw and questioning her worth. Yet, as she returned home that night, she felt something stir within her amidst the chaos. The community she had served rallied around her family, showing her that even in the darkest of times, light can break through. Still, this wasn't just about family. The warmth of Jack's kindness echoed in her thoughts. Could she really set aside her fears, embrace love, and still hold on to her family's needs? As the questions loomed over her heart, a flicker of hope sparked deep within. In a world filled with suffering, could she dare to reclaim happiness? Could she take the leap toward Jack and a future filled with potential? Emily stared at the ceiling, the familiar white plaster seeming to swirl into a cloudy mess that mirrored her turbulent thoughts. Tossing and turning in bed, she replayed her disastrous date with Jack over and over again. Each cringeworthy detail twisted her insides. It had all felt promising, but now, it felt like a missed opportunity haunting her like a ghost. Morning broke through the blinds with soft golden fingers. The sun lit up her room, but it did little to chase away the shadows clinging to her heart. She dressed slowly, each piece of clothing feeling like a layer of doubt added to her skin. What was supposed to be a fresh start now seemed like an impossible climb at the hospital. She moved through the day like a ghost. The familiar sounds, the beeping monitors, the distant chatter of nurses, the smell of antiseptic blended into a dull roar around her. She forced smiles for her patients, but inside, she was unraveling. Whenever she crossed paths with Lucas, he flashed that infectious smile, and despite everything, she couldn't help but crack a tiny grin in return. But today, Lucas noticed her detachment. "Emily, are you okay?" he asked, his young voice layered with concern far beyond his years. "Of course, buddy. Just a little tired," she replied, hoping her upbeat tone would conceal the storm raging within her. But Lucas wasn't convinced. "Want to tell me a pirate joke?" he asked, as if the act could bridge the gap between her muddled emotions and his brightened world. "Only if you promise to laugh," she shot back, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Deal." He beamed, and somewhere inside her, she felt a flicker of warmth, a reminder of the joy they shared. Her mind strayed back to Jack. She recalled the kindness behind his rough exterior, the way he spoke about Lucas, his eyes tender yet burdened. What if he was still willing to give it another shot? She felt a pang of longing. The thought was intoxicating. Finally, she made a decision. Later that afternoon, after her shift, she would text him. It felt like a leap from the edge of a cliff, her heart pounding in her chest from both excitement and fear. As the clock inched toward freedom, Emily's anticipation grew. She pictured Jack's deep voice, the way he brushed his hair away from his face when he was deep in thought. Suddenly, it hit her the way he listened, truly listened. After saying goodbye to Lucas, she found a quiet nook in the hospital's garden. She sat on a sun-warmed bench, tapping at her phone with shaky fingers. Her heart raced. Was she really going to do this? "Hey, Jack. I've been thinking about our dinner. I'm sorry it was so awkward. I'd really like to talk again if you're open to it." With a deep breath, she hit send. A moment stretched into an eternity as she waited, her heart thundering loudly in her ears. Just as she began to doubt, her phone buzzed. "Hey, Emily. I'd like that. Can we grab coffee tomorrow?" Butterflies erupted within her, filling her with an unexpected rush of hope. But as she was savoring her small victory, a sudden cough echoed through the garden. Emily turned, and for a fleeting moment, she saw a glimpse of a familiar figure conversing with a Dr. Jack. Their eyes locked, and that undeniable spark reignited like a flame in her chest. Yet, before she could process it, she noticed the worry etched on his face, the tension in his jaw as he listened intently. What had happened? In that moment, a sliver of uncertainty knocked against her excitement. There was more to Jack's world than she realized. As he gestured toward the door, the concern deepened in his eyes, and she instinctively felt like this was just the beginning of something far more complicated. And just like that, Emily's heart sank again. Would love come at a price she hadn't anticipated? She steadied herself, heart racing again, ready to find out. What secrets lingered in Jack's life, and could her heart weather the storm? Emily's mind continued to race as she watched Jack walk away, his broad shoulders hunched under some unseen weight. The comfort she had felt a moment ago began to shift, replaced by a gnawing curiosity. What could possibly be troubling him so deeply? With a determined flicker of hope, she decided to delve a little deeper into Jack's world. She held on to that thought as she intertwined her fingers nervously, knowing she had to confront whatever lay ahead as the next day's sun began to rise, bathing her room in warmth. Emily prepared herself for the coffee date. She rummaged through her closet, searching for an outfit that would convey both confidence and ease. A soft blue sweater caught her eye, and as she slipped it on, she felt a small surge of strength. Stepping out of her apartment, she took a breath, allowing the brisk morning air to fill her lungs. Walking to the local cafe, she couldn't help but replay her message from yesterday. It had felt like the first step back onto a path she thought she had lost. Upon entering the cafe, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee enveloped her like a comforting blanket. Her heart raced as she scanned the room. There he was. Jack sat at a small table in a corner, fingers wrapped around a steaming cup of coffee, looking pensive as he stared out the window. "Hey, sorry if I kept you waiting," she said, her voice momentarily faltering as his head turned to meet her gaze. "No, you're good. I just arrived a bit earlier to think," Jack replied, his smile warm yet tinged with something unsettling. Emily sat down, her gaze drifting over his features, familiar yet complicated. "I'm really glad we could meet," she managed, trying to bridge the tension hanging between them. "Me too," he said softly, his eyes searching hers. "I wanted to explain before we dive too deep about last time. That wasn't how I wanted our first date to go." As he spoke, Emily saw a flicker of anguish flash across his face. "It's just things are a bit rough at home right now," he continued, his voice steady yet vulnerable. "Is it about Lucas?" she asked, her concern ringing through her. Yes, he has been through a lot lately. Health issues, school challenges. It's all piling up, you know? Jack's voice wavered. I didn't want to bring that into our time together, but it's hard not to think about. Emily's heart ached for him. Suddenly, her own concerns felt small, dwarfed by the weight he was carrying. You know, I'm a nurse. I can help in ways maybe not the way you think, but I can listen or offer support if you need it. Jack looked at her with surprise, a flicker of hope igniting in his eyes. That means a lot. I didn't know what to expect today, but maybe I really needed someone to talk to. She smiled, her resolve strengthening. She wanted to know all about Jack's struggles and joys, to show him that not everything had to feel isolating. As they began to share more over mugs that seemed to warm their spirits, there was an infectious ease between them. Laughter unfurled amidst the serious conversations, connecting the fractures that had kept them apart. But just as Emily was beginning to feel that spark of connection blossom further, Jack's phone buzzed on the table, pulling him abruptly back to reality. She noticed the immediate shift in his demeanor as he glanced at the screen. Sorry, give me a moment, he said, frowning slightly as he read a message. Inside, Emily's heart twinged. What new complication was creeping in? As he typed furiously, a sudden thought struck her. Was this the moment she had been preparing for? Would understanding lead them closer, or would it uncover a side of Jack that would send her running instead? And as Jack looked back, an urgency in his gaze, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of challenges far more complex than she had anticipated. Emily, I need to tell you something, he began, his voice charged with intensity. Just what could he possibly reveal now? Jack's eyes flickered with uncertainty. Emily felt the air around them thicken, as if the entire cafe was suddenly suspended in time. She leaned in, heart pounding in her chest, sensing that whatever came next could change everything. What is it? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. He took a deep breath, visibly summoning the strength to unveil what had been buried inside. It's about Lucas and me, he started. I haven't been honest about how much it's affecting me. I'm supposed to be the strong one in the family, but I'm really not handling it well. Emily's heart ached again, empathy surging through her. You don't always have to be strong, she replied gently. It's okay to struggle. Jack's brows knitted together as he grappled with her words. I think I've gotten so caught up trying to keep it all together that I don't know how to let anyone in anymore. His voice wavered as he continued. The weight of it feels crushing. As he spoke, Emily could see his vulnerability laid bare, raw and honest. She reached across the table, her hand resting atop his. You're not alone in this, she affirmed, wanting him to feel her solidarity. You can lean on me. He looked down at their hands, a flicker of hope mingling with his sorrow. That's hard for me to accept, honestly. I'm so used to handling everything on my own. A gentle smile crossed Emily's face. Jack, we all need help sometimes. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. He absorbed her words slowly, his shoulders relaxing slightly. She could sense an internal battle within him, whether to continue resisting the urge to unburden his heart or to embrace the connection blossoming between them. Since Lucas got sick, I've been pulled in so many directions, Jack revealed, his voice steadier now. It's like I'm in a fog, just moving from one crisis to another. I keep thinking that if I just push through, everything will eventually be okay. Emily nodded, feeling the depth of his struggle. But it's okay to not be okay. You deserve to take a breath, to feel like you can step back for a moment. He looked at her, searching her eyes as if looking for answers. How do you do it? He asked, genuine curiosity lighting up his expression. How do you stay so positive even when the world is falling apart? It's easier said than done, Emily admitted. But I've had my own share of pain too. We all do. It's how we grow, I guess. The memories of her past surfaced, but she tucked them safely away. Focusing on those little moments of joy helps me. Little moments, Jack echoed, a trace of a smile forming. Maybe I've overlooked those. His sincerity stirred something inside her, a warmth that spread like sunshine breaking through clouds. But just as things began to transform, he checked his phone again, a shadow flickering across his face. I'm sorry, it's my sister. She's worried about Lucas. Emily's heart sank at the thought of this looming crisis challenging their sacred moment. Go ahead. If you need to take the call, don't worry about me. No, he said, resolute. I'd prefer to be here, with you. But his words hung in the air, uncertain yet filled with promise. This could be the start of something better, couldn't it? She could feel her own hope swell. It absolutely could be, she replied, her heartbeat in sync with his growing courage. Yet, a flicker of fear crossed her mind. What if this wasn't the moment of freedom they both needed? What if the shadows from his life altered their connection? Just promise me one thing, she said, a slight tremor in her voice. Anything, Jack replied earnestly. Promise me we'll keep talking no matter how hard it gets. His eyes reflected sincerity and warmth, but the weight of uncertainty hung heavy between them. I promise, he said, but before they could linger on that moment of trust, a ringing phone broke through the bubble of comfort they had begun to build. As Jack glanced at the screen once again, a feeling of dread passed over Emily. What would it take for them to finally break free from the burdens pressing them down? Would they find resilience in each other's arms, or were the shadows from their pasts destined to pull them apart? Both felt the tension amplifying, secretly hoping that they could weather the storm together. But as Jack stood to step away to answer the call, Emily couldn't shake the worry that this connection was hanging by a thread. Emily, he called as he walked backward, uncertainty laced in his tone. Can we meet again after this? Yes, absolutely, Emily promised, her heart racing. But could this truly lead to the support they both needed? As Jack stepped outside, leaving her momentarily lost in thought, a feeling of anxious anticipation shook her. Whatever lay ahead, it was clear they were both standing at the precipice of something monumental, teetering between fears and the chance for understanding. Could this moment unfold into something greater, or would it slip through their fingers like sand? Emily sat in the cafe, the clatter of dishes and soft chatter fading into the background as she replayed the moment they just shared. Jack's eyes had held so much, a storm of emotions swirling within them. She bit her lip, her heart a tempest of hope and trepidation. She couldn't shake the feeling that their conversation had cracked open something raw and tender between them. A few minutes trickled by, but it felt like an eternity. Each second dragged with uncertainty, a growing awareness of how much Jack needed help and how much she wanted to be there for him. But deep down, she felt the fragile thread between them tightening, threatening to snap under the weight of everything they were carrying. She glanced outside, watching the raindrops race down the glass, each drop a reminder of struggles that couldn't be outpaced. It felt as if the pounding rain resonated with the turmoil brewing in Jack's life. Her thoughts drifted to Lucas, his illness hanging heavy in the air. She worried, not just for him, but for Jack, too, who seemed to navigate a ship caught in a tempest with no safe harbor on the horizon. The door swung open, and Jack stepped back inside. A sense of relief washed over her. His expression, however, told a different story. The weight of his worries had settled deeper in his expression, tightening the lines on his face. He returned to their table, his phone in hand, but it slipped into his pocket without a glance. What did she say? Emily asked, not able to mask the concern in her voice. He sighed, running a hand through his hair, a common gesture of frustration. Just updates. The doctor thinks we should consider more tests. Jack trailed off, his eyes distant. I just hate feeling so powerless. Emily leaned forward. You're not powerless. You're doing everything you can. Being there for Lucas is a huge part of it. She wished she could erase the hurt from his world and replace it with something lighter. Jack inhaled sharply, catching her gaze. I thought I could hold it together. But the stress as he paused, searching for the right words, it's unraveling me like a bad sweater. She smiled softly. You're human, Jack. It's okay to come apart sometimes. It's part of reaching for help. For a moment, silence enveloped them, thick with unspoken fears and soft glimmers of comfort. Jack looked down at the table, the light from the pendant above illuminating his features. He appeared so vulnerable, yet the strength in his honesty only drew Emily closer. Well, all of this talking is different, he finally chuckled weakly, a small spark igniting in his tone. Honestly, I haven't been this open with anyone in a long time, and it's terrifying and liberating all at once. She chuckled lightly, her own nerves easing. It's only the start, right? Let us keep peeling back the layers, one at a time. Something shifted in the air, an understanding passing between them. They were both navigating the uncertain seas of their respective storms. Perhaps it was just fragile hope, but it was enough for now. As the cafe door swung shut, sealing them in against the rain. Emily felt her chest tighten with a realization. Jack, I want you to know, I'll be here. No matter what it looks like. If you need to vent, cry, or just sit in silence, we can face it together. The warm gratitude in his eyes struck her hard. You make this feel a little less like drowning, he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. But as they sank into the warmth of understanding, a loud crash outside startled them. Emily immediately turned towards the window, her breath catching in her throat as she saw the chaos unfolding. A car had skidded on the wet street, narrowly missing an older man. The scene erupted with bystanders rushing in to help, yet a sense of dread settled in her gut. Emily, Jack's voice pulled her back from the edge of panic. Are you okay? I'm fine, she lied, her heartbeat racing. But something stirred deep within her, a need to be part of something bigger. She turned to Jack, meeting his cautious gaze. This is why I do what I do, why I chose nursing. Life is unpredictable, and I want to help in any way I can. Jack's eyes softened. And you're incredible for that. But you also deserve support, not just to be the anchor. As they shared a knowing smile, the atmosphere shifted once more. The cafe felt less like a bubble and more like a world bracing at the cusp of something grand. In that moment, something was solidifying between them, crackling with potential. But could they navigate the storm of life, not just as individuals, but side by side? I want to keep finding those little moments with you, Jack said softly. Emily's heart soared, but a fleeting thought crossed her mind. Would they have the chance to do just that amidst the chaos that threatened to envelop them both? In that case, she said, a tremor of excitement in her voice, let us hold on to those moments. With the storm raging outside and uncertainty swirling around them, they both knew this was only the beginning. What awaited them on the other side could either tear them apart or bind them stronger together. As Emily turned her attention back to the cafe after the chaos outside, the sounds of laughter and conversations felt distant. The air was thick with an undeniable tension, as if the world around them was holding its breath. She could still see Jack's face, shadows lurking behind his eyes, and she wondered how to lighten the burden he carried. Hey, she said gently, trying to break through the weightiness. Let us not forget why we came here in the first place. A slight smile appeared on her lips, hoping to coax one from him in return. How about we order something fun? Comfort food your choice. Jack chuckled softly, his gaze finally breaking away from the window to meet hers. You're really going to order something fun in this weather? I'm serious. A giant slice of pie or a big bowl of cheesy fries can do wonders, she replied, her enthusiasm bubbling up. You might just rediscover the joy of life for a moment. I guess a side of fries can't hurt. His lips pulled into a half smile, and for a fleeting moment, it felt like the storm outside faded away as they placed their order. The small banter between them shimmered with warmth, weaving a fragile tapestry of connection. Emily relished in the laughter, each shared joke a tiny act of defiance against the heaviness that loomed in Jack's life. But as their food arrived, laden with grease and comfort, Emily tried to gauge the underlying current in Jack's eyes. What do you miss most? She asked, leaning closer. Before all of this? The question hung thick in the air like the scent of the fries, and Jack appeared to wrestle with it. I miss laughter without worry, he said finally, his voice barely above a whisper. I used to be fun, full of life. Emily's heart pinched at his words, drowning in the depth of his struggle. You still are, Jack. It's just a little buried right now, that's all, she said softly, determined to show him that his essence hadn't vanished. He nodded, his grip tightening on the edges of the table, revealing his vulnerability. It's hard to see past the chaos sometimes. I've become, well, so consumed by worry. It's okay to feel that way, she reminded him, her heart aching for him. But you don't always have to carry it on your own. I want to help, even if that's just sharing this pie with you. Jack met her eyes, the emotions brimming there producing a glow that ignited something new. You really have a way of breaking through walls, don't you? Years of practice in nursing, she joked lightly, hoping to lift his spirits further. But then she turned serious again, anxious to push deeper. But it's true, you deserve to find joy, even if just in little bites. As they shared stories, laughter, and fries, the clouds seemed to part for a fleeting moment, illuminating the corners of the cafe with a sliver of sunlight. But just as quickly, the tension returned, snapping Emily back to the reality that thieves in the night pulled at their joy from both the present and the unknown tomorrow. Suddenly, Emily's phone buzzed violently on the table, breaking the spell. The screen lit up with a message that sent a chill down her spine. Lucas's condition worsened. "We need to talk." An icy grip seized her heart as she read the words, shadows of worry creeping back in. "Jack, I think he reached out, covering her hand with his. "Whatever it is, I'm here." Her breath caught, but the connection didn't falter. There was strength in his grip, a shared moment that illuminated their bond. "You deserve to take care of yourself too," he said, searching her gaze. But beneath the surface, Emily felt a storm of her own brewing, a dire fear mixing with unresolved longing. If Lucas's situation was serious, would she have to choose between her responsibilities and this new possibility blossoming with Jack? Torn between her patient and her heart, she squeezed Jack's hand back, feeling his warmth anchor her in the tumult. "I'll figure it out," she whispered, uncertainty tightening its grip on her heart. Jack's eyes held compassion and concern, but there was something else too, a glimmer of defiance against the fate, threatening to pull them apart. "Promise me you'll take care of yourself," he urged softly. "We still have moments to chase." But would she? Seated amidst laughter but tangled in the weight of her world, Emily felt the question linger in the air, trembling with tension. As they navigated that precarious path between care and connection, anything could happen next, and Emily wasn't sure if she was ready for all that was unfolding. Would she rise to embrace both her world and this unexpected bond, or would she find herself swept away in the tide? Emily's phone buzzed again, the vibrations echoing the anxiety twisting in her stomach. The restaurant felt alive around her, laughter bubbling up, but to her, it all felt muted, like she was living in a fog. Jack's hand still enveloped hers, warm and steady, and for a moment, that was enough. "Do you need to take it?" he asked, his voice softening as he studied her face. She hesitated. "It's about Lucas. I'm worried." His condition, she trailed off, guilt twisting her heart. She could feel Jack's attention intensify, that flicker of concern igniting something deep within her. "Whatever you want to do, it's okay. I'll be here," he reassured her, and she could see the sincerity shining in his eyes. It was a comforting anchor amidst the storm brewing in her mind. She took a deep breath and swiped the screen, reading the message again. Words danced on the display, but only one seemed to matter. "We need to talk." Each word felt like a button pressed down on all the worries locked inside her. "I'm sorry, Jack, I have to." She let his hand slip out of hers, a small act that felt monumental. His eyes followed her as she stood, an unspoken plea coursing through the space between them. "You'll be back, right?" he asked, a hint of vulnerability in his voice that cut through the murmurs of the cafe. "I will. I promise," she said, forcing a reassuring smile even as uncertainty gripped her. Each step felt heavy as she threaded through tables and chairs, her heart beating in time with the swells of noise around her. Outside, the wind howled, rattling her nerves further. She dialed Lucas's mother, her fingers trembling. She needed to hear about Lucas, to know how to gauge her own heart against the realities waiting for her. Past years of nursing had taught her to face the raw truth head-on, but now it was complicated by the connection she'd just started to forge with Jack. "Emily?" His mother's voice was heavy, laden with emotions she couldn't fully decipher. "Can you make it to the hospital? Please?" "On my way," Emily replied, already envisioning the sterile, stark hallways. The weight of care settled back on her shoulders, a familiar yet heavy burden. The hospital was a whirlwind of life and death, a place where hope met despair. As she arrived, she found herself moving instinctively. Nurses greeted her with nods of familiarity. The rhythm of care pulsed through the halls like a heartbeat she could rely on. She got to Lucas's room, where the soft beeping of machines and the subtle smell of antiseptic mingled in the air. The sight of him startled her. Pale but stable, he lay there surrounded by a cocoon of blankets, fingers curled into small fists. It was heartbreaking and hopeful rolled into one. She felt the familiar rush of emotions surge, nurse, friend, caretaker blending together. And yet, her heart tugged toward Jack, the laughter and warmth they had started to share haunting her. A nurse noticed the transition in her, concern painting her expression. "He's stable, but we need to discuss the next steps." I think you're going to want to be involved in the conversation. Okay, Emily said, bracing herself for the gravity of their discussion. As she stood there, the longing for the moment with Jack formed a backdrop to the realities of Lucas's struggle. The more she thought about it, the more she realized she had to make a choice. How could she balance her heart for Lucas and the unexpected joy she felt with Jack? Was it even possible to do both? Her phone buzzed again in her pocket, pulling her from her thoughts. It was a message from Jack, just checking in on you. Hope everything is okay. Those simple words unraveled something inside her. Emily felt a smile creep onto her face, but alongside it was uncertainty. A connection was blooming gently in one place while turmoil brewed in another. The sound of a door opening drew her attention back to Lucas. His mother stepped in, a tightness around her eyes that mirrored Emily's swirling doubts. They would have to face this together, but every moment she spent away from Jack made her heart ache, reminding her of the warmth waiting outside these hospital walls. As they began their conversation, a question loomed, unspoken yet heavy. Would she find a way to bridge the gap between her duties and her desires? And would Jack still be there when she returned? Emily's heart sank as she settled into the chair beside Lucas. The machines surrounding him beeped in a rhythmic dance that varied between normalcy and urgency. She hated that sound, but it seemed a familiar companion now. His mother, a nervous energy radiating from her, clutched the edge of the hospital bed, her knuckles white. "Emily, thank you for coming," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I know it's a lot to ask, but I need your help. You know him better, and I just don't know what to do." "Of course," Emily replied, her voice steady as she positioned herself to face both Lucas and his mother. "I'm here to help in any way I can. What is going on?" Lucas's mother took a deep breath. "The doctors have suggested that we consider a new treatment, but it's experimental. They recommend we decide quickly. I just don't know if this is the right choice. What if it makes things worse?" She glanced at Lucas, her voice breaking. "I can't bear the thought of putting him through more pain." Emily could see the fear etched into her face, the way her shoulders trembled slightly. It mirrored her own turmoil. The thought of Lucas suffering even more twisted Emily's heart in knots. "It's a big decision," she said softly. "We can review the options together. Maybe look at the potential outcomes." Her mother nodded, tears pooling in her eyes. "Thank you. I just want what's best for him. But what if I'm making the wrong choice?" The depth of that question resonated with Emily too. How could she guide someone else when her own feelings were in a storm? But as she glanced over at Lucas lying there, she recognized the pure, innocent need for love and care, the very essence they were fighting for. Once the initial conversation settled into a more structured discussion of treatments and their implications, Emily's mind drifted again, unfurling the thread that connected her back to Jack. His concerns seemed to echo in the sterile air around them. Another buzz from her phone brought her to a halt. Another message from Jack. "Feel like I should be there with you. Let me know if you need anything." She read it twice, feeling warmth flood through her, an unexpected glow in the icy hospital ambience. But her reality anchored her. How could she mix the straightforward professionalism of nursing with the budding feelings she had for Jack? "I don't want to make this decision alone," Lucas's mother said, breaking her thoughts. "Can we schedule a time to talk to the doctor?" Emily nodded. "Absolutely. I'll be here for you both." As they made plans, her heart fluttered at the thought of Jack, waiting for her without knowing what she was facing. She pictured his smile, how it made her stomach twist in the best way. Was it selfish to crave this connection when someone else needed her, especially Lucas? The conversation concluded, and Lucas's mother stepped out to step into brief respite, giving Emily a moment alone. She walked over to Lucas's side, taking a deep breath. "Hey, buddy," she whispered, brushing back a lock of hair from his forehead. "You're a tough little fighter, aren't you?" In that silence, she felt the pull of two worlds, the duty to her job and the desire for a personal life, one that resonated with warmth and laughter. Before she could delve deeper into her thoughts, a familiar face appeared at the door, and she froze. It was Jack, a mix of worry and determination etched across his face. He took a step inside, glancing at the bed, then back to Emily. "I couldn't just sit there waiting. I had to see how you were doing." Her breath caught in her throat. His presence was like a lifeline, casting light on the darkness that surrounded her decision. "Jack," she started, unsure of how to voice the chaos within, but he interrupted. I won tea intrude. Just wanted to check in. His expression softened, but so did his resolve. We can talk later if you feel up to it. A secret part of her wanted to tell him everything, to tear down the barriers that held her heart captive. But could she really manage both Lucas's struggle and the possibility of joy with Jack? The air felt thick with unanswered questions as she stood at this crossroads. Maybe it wasn't just about Lucas or Jack, it was about finding her footing amid the storm. Emily, Jack said softly, stepping closer. Just know, I'm here for you whatever you decide. Her pulse raced as she met his gaze. The connection was undeniable, but uncertainty loomed like a shadow. Would she risk losing Jack if she chose to fight for Lucas? The hospital's sterile walls felt even more constricting, and deep down, she knew the answer to her internal conflict was just beginning to unfold. Can you stay a bit? She finally asked, her voice steadying. He nodded. Together, they turned back to observe Lucas, but with every heartbeat, a tension lingered. Would she be able to embrace both the duty to save a life and the desire for connection? The question hung between them like an unspoken promise, waiting to be addressed. Emily felt Jack's presence next to her, steady but charged with emotions that mirrored her own. As they watched Lucas, the rhythmic beeping of the machines sank deeper into her consciousness. Was she truly prepared for the weight of both worlds pressing down on her? Do you want to talk about it? Jack's voice was low, but it held an urgency that urged her to find her words. She shifted slightly, fighting to maintain character. I don't know if talking will help. Lucas, he's fighting so hard. His mom is looking to me for guidance. Jack glanced at Lucas, then back at her. But you can only do so much. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. His eyes softened, and Emily could see the understanding there, the compassion she desperately needed. What if I let them down? She whispered, her voice quivering. What if I make the wrong choice for him? And you will, he said gently. But that doesn't mean you want to do your best. You care so much, Emily. That counts for a lot. She took a deep breath, trying to absorb his words. He was right, yet a part of her still felt like she teetered on the edge of a cliff, balancing between hope and hopelessness. In that moment, she felt a deep longing to lean into him, to let the confusion wash away as she sought refuge, just for a moment. She knew they needed to make a decision with Lucas's treatment soon, but the uncertainty made her head spin. Could she really embrace the possibility of joy, even a small spark, while fighting through this storm? It's hard to imagine life outside these walls right now, she admitted, pulling back slightly as she looked into Jack's eyes. All I can see is Lucas's struggle. Jack placed his hand on hers, a simple gesture, but it ignited something deep within her. Then picture it. Just for a second, he encouraged softly. What is outside these walls? What makes you smile? She closed her eyes, letting his words linger. Memories of laughter surfaced, moments shared with friends under the glow of streetlights, rolling hills, and quiet sunsets. The warmth of a summer night, the scent of fresh grass. Could she allow herself to think it was possible again? I miss those carefree moments. Her voice was barely above a whisper. But they feel so distant now. Jack squeezed her hand. Hold on to that. Hold on to hope. It doesn't mean you're abandoning Lucas. It means you're remembering how incredible life can be. Balance is important. A silence settled between them, filled with the weight of shared experiences and unspoken thoughts. She could feel the warmth radiating from his touch, a reminder that she wasn't navigating this storm alone. Do you really think it's possible to have both? She asked, her heart racing at the vulnerability. To fight for someone like Lucas and still open my heart to someone else? I do, he replied with a sincerity that grounded her. It won't be easy, but love can persist, even in the hardest times. The way he said it ignited a flicker of hope inside her. In that fragile moment, Emily couldn't help but notice their breath sinking, an unintentional rhythm echoing the steady pulse of the machines behind them. They both turned to look at Lucas in their shared silence, but a new understanding passed between them that hadn't been there before. Suddenly, a nurse breezed in, her face a mask of professionalism. I need to check his vitals. She quickly moved around the bed, momentarily breaking the intimate bubble that had enveloped them. Emily's heart sank as she realized how quickly those moments slipped away. As the nurse worked, Jack pulled back slightly, but kept his hand over hers, a lifeline, holding her steady in uncertainty. Once the nurse left, the empty quiet returned. Emily looked up at Jack, grappling with questions that urged for more time together. Would he stay through the haze? Would they lean on each other beyond this moment? Can we talk more when all of this settles down? She asked, her voice trembling slightly. Absolutely, he assured, his eyes brightening. I'm not going anywhere. Just tell me what you need. With each word, hope blossomed deeper within Emily. But, just before she could express her gratitude, a sudden alarm pierced the quiet, sending adrenaline rushing through her veins. Is it Lucas? She gasped, her heart racing. Jack's grip tightened on her hand as they both turned toward the bed, anxiety coiling within their stomachs. The machines beeped wildly now, urgency fueling their every thought. Emily, Jack called, worry etched in his features. But for Emily, it was more than just a call for attention. It was a reminder that decisions loomed ahead, both for Lucas and for the uncharted path she stood on with Jack. As she stood there, uncertainty thick in the air, she realized one thing. This journey was about to forever change her, and that unimaginable crossroads was about to erupt into something bigger. What would they face next together? Would the chaos bring clarity, or would it fracture these delicate moments? The chaos intensified around Emily as the alarm rang out, buzzing through the sterile hospital air like a relentless storm. Her heart raced, matching the frantic beeping of the monitors. Jack steadied her, holding on as they faced the sudden crescendo of confusion and fear. Nurses rushed into the room, their calm efficiency stark against the whirlwind of panic that swirled inside Emily's chest. What is happening? She whispered, her voice barely breaking through the tension. Jack's grip tightened, a silent promise to weather this together. Lucas, so vivid and full of light just moments before, was now tangled in a web of uncertainty. The medical team worked quickly, their hands a blur of movement, but the weight in Emily's heart only grew heavier. She could no longer escape the gravity of this moment. She had come to the hospital prepared to help, to navigate the murky waters of illness beside Lucas, but now she felt caught in a tempest of her own emotions. As the team began their protocols, Emily observed closely. She studied every expression, every action, gathering bits of information as if it could help form a safety net for her spiraling thoughts. Jack remained beside her, his presence anchoring her to this reality. Even as her thoughts drifted to the tenderness of their earlier conversation, a flurry of urgent instructions filled the air. Get the 4 ready. Call the doctor. More monitors. Each command sounded like pounding waves crashing against her sanity. But amidst this, a flicker of resolve began to emerge. Emily knew she had to step up, not just as a nurse, but as the voice Lucas needed in this critical moment. She took a deep breath, pulling on every ounce of strength within her. Look, I know it's overwhelming right now, she whispered to Jack, taking a quick glance at him. But we can't let fear take over. We have to focus on Lucas. He needs us. The determination in her voice forged a connection that felt electric, forging a path through the uncertainty that as the chaos settled, the doctors arrived, and a palpable tension marked the air. Lucas is stable, but we need to act fast, the lead physician explained, eyes scanning the room for confirmation. The weight of the moment pressed onto Emily's shoulders. We can consider the experimental treatment we discussed. It's a risk, but it could provide the breakthrough we need. Emily felt the world narrow down to just a few moments. Lucas's mother, anxious and spent, looked to her for guidance. Emily, what do you think? She asked, desperation curling her voice. Emily's heart ached as she met the gaze of the boy who had filled her days with laughter, who had adorned her shifts with light. He was not just a patient. He was a testament to hope. We have to believe in possibilities, she replied, her voice trembling but resolute. If there's even a chance this could help him heal, we owe it to him to try. The decision came like a thunderbolt, electrifying the room. It was daunting, but the pressed-down weight gradually felt lighter as conviction began to replace fear. This bond between her, Jack, and Lucas formed a strong trinity, one built on hope and commitment, sparking a fire of purpose within her. Let us do it, Lucas's mother agreed, her voice stronger now. Let us give him a chance. With the decision made, the team swung into action, brilliant flashes of coordination lighting up the room as they prepared for the treatment. Jack leaned closer, softly brushing Emily's arm. You're amazing, he whispered, and for the first time, The echo of their earlier conversation felt less like a distant dream and more like a clear path forward. But even as the adrenaline coursed through them, Emily sensed that their journey was still filled with questions yet to be answered. After the critical moments, after the dust cleared, and after the new routine emerged in Lucas's fight, where would they be left? Once the team stepped back momentarily, finalizing the monitoring and notes, Jack turned to Emily, his expression serious but warm. "We fought for him today, and we did it together," he said, his sincerity filling the air between them. "You're an incredible force for good. You know that? How do we keep this flame alive?" she asked hesitantly, already feeling the tug of outside forces creeping towards them. Jack's eyes flickered with understanding. "We keep talking. We keep leaning on each other, like we did today. Life is messy, but I believe in the strength we're building. I really do." His voice rang with the warmth of truth, fortifying Emily's heart amid the uncertainty. Tears prickled her eyes, and she blinked them away, her emotions crashing like waves against the shore of her resolve. "I want to understand how to have both." She let her words trail off, unsure of what the future held for them both. "Let us be patient," Jack suggested warmly. "Today was proof that we can navigate the chaos together. For every moment of turmoil, we can create moments that matter. We can harness joy and strength. Just take it one step at a time." Emily nodded, feeling a renewed sense of purpose ripple within her. As they prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead, something stirred anew between them, hope mixed with the promise of love. In that moment, nestled between the chaos of life and the blooming possibility of a connection, Emily finally felt a seed of warmth blossom in her heart. She wasn't alone in this. They were building something worth fighting for, together. Outside, the sun broke through the clouds, spilling golden light into the cold hospital corridors, illuminating all possibilities ahead. Hold on. Embrace joy amid strife. They had come this far together. The next chapter awaited, and they would face it as allies, as friends, and perhaps as something more. So take heart, dear friends, and remember that amidst life's storms, warmth and connection can flourish as they weave through every moment. It's a call to action, to embrace every chance for joy, because the journey doesn't have to be faced alone. And now, as you reflect on this chapter, I urge you, subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait, not even one more second to share. True fans know the power of connection.